All right. And we should be good. Cool. All right, let's populate this world, make it look nice. Oh, I need to turn on hardware acceleration, or else this will be very slow. Hold for 1 second. And we should be good now. All right, cool. All right. Want a bit of a fire look, so let's see what we got. Go with this. Okay. Kind of have this idea for essentially what would be like these redlands, but maybe because of this giant volcano, it's almost like ash that looks like snow. I just don't know how good that'll look. Keith, welcome. How you doing? Hope you are doing well today. Not so sure about this volcano anymore. Would it look better somewhere else? Maybe at the top? Yeah, we might ditch it. Okay, wait, no. So what I'm thinking is we have a volcano. The ash from the volcano could be falling on the mountains. So this land is red in general, but with the ash, it almost gives it like a snow effect. But it's ash instead of snow. It's an option, but I just don't know where we can place a volcano that makes it look super nice, because I guess we could place it right here. Yeah, let's do it there. What we can say is because the dragon has like essentially a breath attack from its mouth, this is where kind of all the fire that would be in the dragon is. So we can make it that. Oh, whoops. Oh, I accidentally zoomed into Google in general, didn't I? I know we're good. And reset the row. Actually, it would not be bad to zoom in. What was I about to say? Oh, let's make it that around here it's very bad. What we should do is just color this black. And then we'll come in with a red. Opacity at like 0.8. It's a little bit darker, not quite what we want. 0.5. Do this. All right. Initial mountain, and then we can put some surrounding ones. Curious, if we do that everywhere, does it actually look better? Doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, okay. Maybe the trees then, but what we can do is see if the shadows are a good idea. No, this if I wanted to do that. It's actually kind of cool. I actually kind of like this. Puts a nice little theme to it. It was a bat sneeze, but then we dodged it, luckily. Do a layer shadow. Keep that one like that. Okay, so theoretically, let's grab a cliff. We'll have this kingdom sit kind of. We need a front-facing one. There's that, and there's this. I like this one more. Nice little curve. Let's put it like right here. We'll lower the size of the kingdom. Put this mountain back behind it. Not so sure about blurring these. Yeah, I take that back. That's a mistake. Oh, Country Fried Minis and another Nate. Welcome. Oh, you guys are doing fantastic. Okay, so we need to brush this up. Please tell us of your world. Fantastic question. So this is going to be a D&D world on the body of a massive, massive dragon. Just had a pretty excellent hobby night while Sir Minis here did his stream. Nice. Awesome to hear that. Hope it was a good time. So quite literally, it's going to be like a world dragon that we're placing this world on. The trick is, though, we're doing this in the parchment style. So I haven't made a lot of maps before, but I've used all of these little assets here. Oh, that does not show. Oh, because I got Cliff. I used all of these assets, but I'm not trying to do that. I just kind of want to make it look like a classic fantasy map. So we're pretty limited on options, but we're getting a little creative together. But we're going to do the... I like that you didn't pull any punches and just made the landmass dead on a dragon. Yeah, that's going to be the cool part. We already have some... introduced some cool lore ideas. For example, these horns. Like this horn, I kind of faded it in. Lore-wise, this kingdom's harvesting it. We have ideas for it being weapons. So it's kind of a cool concept to put on the body of a dragon and then look at the anatomy of a dragon. So it's not a dragon from Noobtown. No, it's not. I mean, the cool thing is, whenever we have a dungeon underground, it is officially Dungeons & Dragons. So that's I can't wait to give him that one. I don't think we need to do this, but we just increase the contrast. Okay. Because it's a parchment world, we do have to color these in, though, manually. So one thing we kind of considered, we made one of the wings. This is the only zone that we finished, kind of. So we put the mountains as like the actual bones of the wings. Trees growing out. But for this one, our consideration is that we have this massive volcano. Essentially, as the volcano spreads ash around, it kind of gives almost like another snow zone. But while this is snow, this is going to be covered in ash. So that's going to be kind of the unique little charm about this. But we decided red cliffs, red terrain, because kind of the last part of the dragon that has its true color, which is a red dragon. And then I decided to put the volcano here because dragon's breath attack is on its mouth. We can say it has like a little magical fire gland on its throat and sprout it out into a volcano. My only issue is if this kind of looks like a little too close to a strawberry shortcake. Maybe that's just me being hungry, but I hope that's not what it looks like. Let's actually keep it like that. Instead of for a long campaign, I'm running some Dungeon Crawl Classics for folks, but it's just the module. Yeah, pretty much. So the cake is a good idea. All right, that's awesome. I'm one of them folks. So in that case, it'll be strawberry shortcake. One thing I kind of started doing later in my D&D career is I'd rather, like, instead of making different worlds for each campaign, that is what I used to do, I just kind of have different continents in the same world. What kind of made it nice is you only gotta world build once as far as the universe's lore and everything. But it's a cool way to establish and relate to old characters that the players have played. This only really works, though, I found out, is if you have the same kind of group. It is a little awkward when you have to switch groups. So if you have to switch consistently, I do advise that people do kind of separate worlds, separate settings. Fern, welcome. Nice to see you here again. Strawberry Shortcake, such a wholesome show. The plan for this kingdom is anything but. It is going to be a pretty ruthless kingdom. So, do you guys think the Strawberry Shortcake theme gives it, kind of cuts its intimidation? Or do we stick with the red and the white? The only other option we do is essentially red and black, but I don't think anyone would find the zone pretty. Yeah, that wouldn't look good. Brace of silliness is my role, Gonzo all the way. Sounds good. We could cover this completely in ash. Not the mountains, but the land here. One idea we could actually do. Oh, whoops. Let's naturally give it a little bit of a more, like, smoke coloration instead of bright white. So we're going to grab this, put it at like 0.4 opacity, and then color it in to give it a little bit of a darker tint. Okay. We're gonna have to color the kingdom at some point here. All right, let's get this. Heck yeah, the shading did some work. That's good to hear. Since we have 2 new people, I can show you guys some of the maps we've made. Rather, 1 second. A couple days ago, we were working on a completely different map for another one of my campaigns. Do you stream your games? I do not. My games are in person, and so it is much harder to kind of jump in that endeavor. I do make videos, though, so you guys can check me out on YouTube, Midnight Coffee, and I've been a little MIA as far as posting some videos, but I should be coming back to it actually pretty recently here, or pretty soon. But maybe one day it'll happen. Okay. So once this map loads, so a couple days ago, we were working on a completely different map, and this is for a campaign that is just started actually on Thursday. But you can see that this website does allow you to make a very, very pretty isometric maps. I wanted to stay away from the isometric design because I realized after making like 4 or 5 of them, I kind of just kept making the same thing as far as villages and stuff. So I decided I kind of want to do a bit of a challenge and go into a parchment world soon. It is it's a commitment. That's the thing. That is a map. Yeah, this is the biggest map I've made out of all of them. It is very, very large. Sith Lord Nurgle, hi, welcome. Nice to see you. Hope you are doing fantastic. I can show you guys actually the very first map I've made. So overall, I do get stuck in a little bit of a pickle, jumping from doing this stuff to jumping into the parchment assets. It's definitely a lot more work, but I think it looks a little cooler. Ignore that. And then here's the first map that was done. Classic eye candy D&D adventure right here. So it's kind of fun. Now, let's get back to the main one. Doing well. Had some fun inspiration for a bit. Interesting world building based off a curious raw rule interaction. It's not intended by any means. Oh wait, hold up. Let me reread that. Oh, sorry. Had some fun inspiration for a bit of interesting world building based off a curious raw rule. What's the raw rule? In case anyone is confused, raw is just rules as written. It's just slang, guys. It's just slang. Where's the rare footage of nothing not being here? You could absolutely give him shit. One of our consistent members is not here. Okay, let's maybe color the stonework, or sorry, the rest of the buildings a little more like stone. See now, Paladin's aura protection only ends if the Paladin is no longer conscious. Yes. Well, the petrified condition does not make you unconscious. Yeah, that makes sense. You're frozen. Let's see here. From a relatively ancient and particular grognard individual, rules are just the starting point. They are. The best way to think about it is the rules in D&D is the skeleton structure, and then you add the meat on it. So, you know, without a skeleton structure, things fall apart, but how you add onto it, what you make it look like, is kind of your unique style of DMing. So Petrified Paladins should, by raw, have their aura. Yeah, they would technically would. Did you know there are no Wendigos in the D&D bestiary? Really? Are there no Wendigos? That feels like something they should absolutely have. Hold up. Wendigo? No. Some people call it a wicker. Do you guys think a Wendigo would be a Fae or would it be an undead? I mean, we're gonna check both, but just curious what you guys would think first of all. I guess Faes are not counted as monsters. Oh wait, it's F-E-Y. My money's on Fae. I mean, maybe they have something that's kind of close to it. It's possible, but no, they actually don't. Oh, that's crazy. You guys are feeling Fae for Wendigos? Why not both as an undead Fae? You absolutely can, but I guess it really depends on, does someone have to die to become a Fae, or are they just transformed to it? Or are they born of it? Because it's a woodlands creature. Yeah. I could see an argument for that. It's a darker side of Fae magic, but it is Fae magic at the end of the day. Okay, let's see, I'm a little behind. I, as a habit, shut down players who attempt to ruler me. It's really... It's such a heated debate in D&D, and it becomes a big thing. My general notion on any rule is, are the players having fun at the end of the day? If they are not, get rid of the rule. If they are, keep the rule. Because ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have fun playing the game. So not saying framework isn't great, but the only rule is the DM is always right. There are times where the DM could be wrong if a majority of the players are just straight up not having a good time. There are red flags DMs can do that I would, like, if I've heard some DM horror stories that I've heard, like, someone tell me and I'm like, why would you just not leave? That sounds so bad. But ultimately, for the game to function, the players do need to respect the DM's ruling and what they do. And they need to also appreciate that DMs will run stuff differently than your opinion, and you should actually be excited for that, because you're not running the game the same way every single time. Every DM does it a little differently. So now imagining a religion that ritualistically petrifies paladin members of their order and places those statues into their churches, thus granting all clergies their order protection. And since you stop aging when you're petrified, it lasts forever, or until the paladin statue is destroyed. That is so cool. I've never seen someone put that combination together, and that is actually really badass. I absolutely love that one. 100% roll with it. What you can kind of do in a cool twist, if you want to put those weeping angels from Doctor Who in, is maybe there's some kind of alteration in there. Fae are one of the Fae realms. Wendigos aren't dead. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm late for work. Nothing. Fern beat you to it, and he is quite upset with you. They're either natural creatures or cursed living individuals. I like more of the idea of them being cursed. It's a nice story approach to do and a nice quest design. You usually put Wendigos in kind of like dreaded forest, so it's a nice little theme to always play on. However, I have seen one person actually do the reverse, kind of like a holy wicker, and that was actually really cool. And if things go really poorly, the clerics can use Greater Restoration to heal the paladin statues and have an instant team of paladins to defend the church. Yeah, that's actually really good. Another good point of why they would petrify them is when you're petrified, you have resistance to all damage. So it is hard to actually kill someone. To be fair, I don't play D&D anymore because of min-maxing players. There is min-maxing players in most things, and they can absolutely ruin the fun when taken to the extreme. So that part kind of does suck. They die as normal humans, get reborn as Fae, die as Fae, then turn into a Wendigo. That could definitely be really cool, actually. I'm always a fan of just like put multiple ideas, right? That's one pathway. There's another pathway. And all in all, it kind of has this complex system of how it happens. DCC is my jam these days, closer to old school D&D. I have not heard of DCC. Let me know what that is. What is funny about that is I found that out with another D&D DM when I was talking about a Wendigo enemy in Fallout New Vegas mod called Dust. We looked up D&D as a Wendigo because I was curious. So yeah, that's how you found out they don't have one. You could also have a dungeon where a paladin disappeared and the players could stumble in a room and grant them a bonus. That could be a nice way to hint to them the idea of what's going on. Wendigos are spirits that inhabit the body of a person who falls into madness of cannibalism and greed. I've seen a lot of different twists. I've heard the cannibalism part is supposed to be the biggest one. The most I've seen personally as a player is DMs usually do like a druid use their magic to create wendigos to protect the forest through dark ways. So that's another option. Did you invite everyone here to the server? I did not. So we do have a Discord if you guys are interested. This is for you guys to interact with each other. But more importantly, you can post your own homebrew stuff and we can review it together as a stream and kind of give feedback on what you guys want. I will post a link right now in the chat. Feel free to join. It'll also notify you when I go live. So you can go ahead and stay tuned. And there it is. Hope to see you guys in there. Cursed face spirits. Yeah, that's how I always interpreted it. Mainly to avoid min-maxes, try to find a group that doesn't min-max flavor over power. So, like, I always think there is a difference between min-maxing and optimizing, right? Because, like, if you're trying to do a specific build in D&D and you're trying to choose features and weapons that match it, that's optimizing. Min-maxing is... for the most part, it's a little obvious when they're doing it, but what I ended up doing is a homebrew rule is I have it that you can only multi-class to 2 classes, because I've seen people be like, hey, I'm taking 1 point in cleric to get this specific ability, and it does not make sense lore-wise why their character is becoming a cleric. They haven't established that, so that's kind of like one of the biggest signs of min-maxers. They just kind of never go for a story reason of what they're doing. It's just always a gameplay thing. Let's see what else. Dungeon Crawl Classics. Got you. Okay. Yeah, I've never actually heard about that. I'm definitely going to check it out, though. It sounds fun. Sounds like some old school fantasy. I ran Shadowrun for a whole room of min-maxes. I just ignored their character sheets and told them a goofy story. Separate streamer came up with the idea of a BBG that can charm mind control creatures, and they go around capturing paladins with different oaths, then petrifies them to get the aura bonuses. Man, that's a stacked enemy right there. That's crazy. My D&D character is personally a bit of an inventive sorcerer that likes to make things because they always have a favor towards knowledge over things like money, food, or water. Ooh. That's definitely a better twist, because most sorcerers, let's be honest, we like to play them a little egotistical, narcissist. So that's actually nice. Tice the Betrayer, welcome. Nice to see you here. Though I like the absurd all classes build. I've heard about that, my friend. I remember watching that video of the guy who was like level 14 or something, and he decided to put 1 point in every class. It is definitely very funny. But see, that is like a situation where they are multi-classing to so many things for not the reason of min-maxing. They're trying to definitely do something very funny there. It was a very funny idea. Flavor is more of what I go for. I do a lot of multi-classing for backstory flavor. Yeah, exactly. Tempest Cleric, Order of Scribe, Wizards, ahoy. That is actually a cool combo. I have seen Knowledge Domain Clerics and Order of Scribes as well. I made a crippled guy, a blind crippled guy. Man, good luck on that dragon fight. I won't lie, I'm a min-maxer, but I min-max weird things. I can't think of a time when having 500 plus movement will ever be useful. It's a extremely niche situation, to be quite honest. If stone counts as an object, wouldn't it make sense for a petrified stone character be susceptible to critical damage to objects for the adamantine weapons? So the thing is that it's up to how a DM interprets a d20, like a critical hit. Because for me, at least, I always like to play it that it can ignore resistances if you natural 20. So in that case, I would personally let them hit it for full damage. It's a 5% chance of them getting it. I'll give it to them if they hit it right. But typically, they have resistance to all damage right here. So if they're not critting, all damage is halved. However, they also have advantage to hit the target, so it actually does go up. So that is actually something to consider. My way of thinking, though, is that that should be the natural counter to that strat, right? You like every strategy should have a natural counterpoint idea to it. It shouldn't just be completely foolproof, or else the players will get very frustrated with that mechanic. Let's see. Oath of the Open Sea Paladins are OP. I love the twist of it. Kind of a unique archetype to kind of have like a pirate paladin. Movement is OP. I made one that moves at Mach 1. Low int build where you have like plus 20 and advantage for the lulls. Oh, initiative build. Got it. Yeah, that's insane. You can never die as you will always outrange them just by running. Yeah, you're a slippery one. There's finicky ways to gain my character's help. Someone needs a dice. Needs to die to get knowledge. The party member enemy will be neglected or die, but if a party member can persuade my character to make something benefit them while gaining new incentive ideas, he will do what he can for that party. This is something that I feel like players don't think about enough or analyze, and it's like, what are ways to persuade your own character? Because if you think about that, you can understand and rationalize what your character wants, and that could lead you into role-playing those values better. Because a lot of people is like, hey, you have to persuade me as the player. They don't think about what would persuade my character that I've written out. So I'm glad you've thought about that. It's actually a very, very good sign of incredible role-playing. My last 3.5 character was a strength build rogue kobold. They used monkey grip to utilize a full-size great hammer with backstab. He was terribly swole and terribly stupid. Dude, those are the treasured, beloved characters. How do you like 3.5, by the way, compared to 5e? Let me know what you think about that. Movement is usually OP, but the build in question requires Monk, Fighter, Barbarian. My stats are too stretched that I can't do much outside of movement. And you need to be a tabaxi. Nothing can run away from you. Your DM will essentially be forced to give them some kind of teleport. Because if they try to run away, you are right on them. That is actually very funny. I think most classes I have done is like Ranger, Rogue, Paladin, Warlock. Pretty much fighter builds. I mean, people naturally gravitate towards what they like. You kind of either love marshals, you love spellcasters, or you absolutely love kind of like a hybrid. And you kind of stay in that realm. So for example, I've seen people who love martial characters, and the only time they've played wizard is they would do like Bladesinger, or they do like Pack the Blade Warlock. Because they just love swinging stuff. So any class that does that. That being said, do be careful of Tempest Cleric Scribe Wizard. They can use the Scribe's ability to turn most of their spells into lightning or thunder damage, and then maximize it via the Tempest. So I feel like a more effective way you can do that, though, is the Sorcery Metamagic. Because that just straight up lets you do it from what I know. Oh, actually, it's an optional class feature, I believe. So, yes, okay. I usually just allow every optional class feature in D&D Beyond. So if your DM allows this, take 3 points in Sorcerer, or just take the feat that gives you metamagic options, and then take Transmuted Spell. Spend 1 sorcery point to change it into pretty much thunder damage right there. Let's see. My last, actually, it was a Pathfinder character, was a Venaran. They're monkeys. A monkey monk. Oh, she was a joke and did very silly things, but was unhurtable. That sounds adorable. I've never used 3.5, so I'm not sure. Yeah, it's very... Was it 3.5 or 4.5 that people... No, 3.5 everyone loved. I think it was like 4.5 no one talks about, because it was like really weird. It's probably just 4th edition D&D. I think 5e is a power fantasy that holds the player's hands way too much and makes them way too powerful too quickly. Not saying I hate it, but I prefer AD&D for the squishiness. Oh, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I think, I mean, for me, it always felt like 5e was designed for new players to kind of get into without having to deal with a lot of difficulty. And then it's like, okay, I introduce you to kind of the really fun parts and the mechanics of the game, and now we can increase the difficulty. But that kind of results in people more just like homebrewing rules for 5e rather than taking them back to 3.5. But I can definitely agree with your standpoint. They can run away from me, but what I'm going to do when I can't hit, can't grapple, and can't tank them? I mean, it's a good point. Its movement is not as crazy as one would hope it would be. Pull out Master plus Sentinel to counter Speedsters. Yeah, and if you're a Bugbear, you get even more reach. This is totally not me trying to persuade people to play more Bugbears because I love Bugbears, but if you guys have not played a Bugbear, you should definitely play a Bugbear. Look at this, Bugbears. And if you look right here, you have an extended reach, 5 feet greater than normal. You got big arms. I've seen many D&D combats, and I'm amazed to never see DMs use verticality as a character boss's escape route. It's usually very well played into cities and forests. That's the optimal way to do it. If you're in a field or a desert, it's hard to kind of say like, hey, what verticality do you go to? Because they're supposed to be open and plain, right? But for example, like looking at this map here, this is a place where verticality would matter. Any forest, right? They can use trees, cities, but if they are fighting out into a desert area, kind of like around these parts, there's not much verticality to go. So, yeah, always consider your terrain as a DM. And as a player, ask. A lot of DMs, they need players to ask them specific aspects of the game so they know that it exists, and that's how they improve. So as a player, just kind of casually ask like, hey, you know, is there elevation in this that we should consider? The reason I prefer Scribe Sorcerer is because the sorcerer uses a sorcery point. The Scribe Wizard can do it for free whenever they cast a level spell. Oh, then in that case, there you go. The only I don't know what level Wizard gets it at, so if they get it even earlier, that's actually better. I'm going to play the game as my character, then I'll play as my character. I know people like to do the horror stories of it's what my character would do, but if they want to sit back or talk to me between sessions, then I am all welcome for the party conversations. I'd be happy to tell them, well, if you're going to try to convince me of helping you in that way that gives you advantage over normal means, you have to convince my character. This is a good point. There is definitely a bad realm. So the only time the horror stories go bad of people saying that this is what my character would do is when there's not a stable and consistent theme with that character. The character is just naturally chaotic. They do something chaotic and they say, well, that's what my character would do because they're chaotic. And it's like, no one likes that. If you've already established something of how your character acts, their morality and their orders, what they believe in, and you play into it, no one can disprove you on that. And that is excellent role-playing. So yeah, that's actually way better. I wish Martial felt more rewarding versus playing a spellcaster. The worst the fighter can do is massive damage versus rewriting the world as a wizard. Yeah, so I've done a lot of work in my own campaigns to buff up the martial classes, specifically fighter. You do have a lot of chances to crit. Fighters are very dependent on a weapon. So as a DM, one of the first things I do is I give them a very powerful weapon that will essentially scale up with them most of the time. But that way they don't feel like they're completely getting underclassed. So yeah, it is definitely something to kind of stick with. The balance of it that they like to say and do is that, give me 1 second, guys, the music stopped. There we go. What they like to do is they like to say that fighters are really strong early level, And then wizards are really strong late level. And it's fine to take that approach, but you know, it's like most of the time what happens, so someone's not going to have too much fun, right? Wizards won't have too much fun early levels. Fighters won't have too much fun later levels. You're kind of designing a system where one side is just going to feel underwhelming. Additionally, I can go outside of standard elemental damage. The Crusher feat is also good for Scribe Wizards. It is. Besides, if you want to convince me, then have to convince my character in-game to make it make sense, so it doesn't break my character and who they are. Yeah, exactly. 4th edition was pretty good. It definitely was easier for GMs to build stuff. I have never heard of someone actually playing 4th edition too much. Bugbears are fun. I absolutely love them. One of my favorite races. I've only seen me play them. I absolutely am a huge fan of Bugbears. I'm glad. Nothing. Proud of you. I like 4th edition better than 5th. I cannot comment. I've never seen 4th edition. But I'm glad to know that there are people that do. And 4th edition wasn't a complete mess, as I've heard it was, but I've never actually seen it. So I've never trusted that opinion. Goblins are my go-to race. They are very funny. Everyone loves a good goblin. They have long limbs, yes. Makes them really nice. Verticality drives my players nuts, especially when they run into a dragon. Oh, man. It's anyone expecting a situation to be good when there is a dragon already there is not gonna have a fun time. My most min-maxed character was a guy named Trayton. He is a blind crippled guy in a wheelchair. He can't move on his own, but others can push him. He's a summoner. Interesting. Oh, we've reached 100 messages. Good job, everybody. Congratulations. And also thank you for being very active. I appreciate it. Honestly, though, I think the most broken character I've ever played was a single classes Moon Druid, though I was in a cult and had to access dinosaurs on top of regular beasts. Oh, that's so cool. Quite OP with Of the Sea, Polearm, and Sentinel plus Mole. Well, actually, you could go Monk, because there is a Monk subclass that lets you get more reach, too. My character is an Ice Elemental Kitsune from another dimension. That is high-tech. Leaves their high-tech to bare bone stuff due to their beliefs that high-tech brought into lower tech reality could create a tear in reality. Okay. They come in and have to invent the realms in the natural world. Got you. Okay. First, it seemed like a lot going on, but then I had to just like stay quiet and read it, and then I got what you're saying. That sounds cool. 14 wizard, 3 warlock, 2 artificer, 1 cleric. That's a lot of multi-classing. Othency has marine and blind sight, so let's check out what that is. But real quick, which one is it that gives you like extended reach on monks? I know one of them is a thing. I know it's definitely one of these. I thought it was Kensei, but I guess I'm wrong. Astral Self. Let's check it out. Is it near the end? No. Okay, so. Oh, here it is. Yep. Your reach is 5 feet greater than normal. Oh, but it's specifically an unarmed strike. So if you wanted to punch, so technically you cannot use it as a with a polearm. So you are correct. Nothing. It would be better for you to go of the sea. There's some quirky things that my character can do, like for one, making cursed items. I love cursed items. if any player complains about a cursed item being a thing, they're being very unreasonable. It's classic D&D stuff to have cursed items, guys. Come on. There's a spell called Remove Curse. Woodruth, welcome. Nice to see you back here. Happy to see you. That is often that requires time for my character to make at times. Yeah, it should. It should. Shouldn't be able to make it willy-nilly, but you should be able to make it. Like the marshmallows, I'm a little lost on. Oh, Woodruth. Is Woodruth a marshmallow company? Or Woodrat? There's Woodrat. Looks like. Yeah, the yellow birds peep. Let's just. No, I can't find it. I think my favorite cursed item I ever gave a player made the character feel safe and secure for 1d6 days. Then swapped to making them feel like they were being scried on for 1d6 days. You are a monster. Oh no, I do not like peeps. They taste not great. Are we still talking about marshmallows? How can you D&D without the belts of change sex? Is that a thing? Peeps like the peaks, which are marshmallows. I've never heard of marshmallows being referred to as peeps. Is that another word for it? Is that a company that makes it? Player didn't realize what was going on for months and it drove them nuts. Now, here's the thing about scrying that's also very fun is... if we were to look at it, right? The target must make a wisdom saving throw, and the range is unlimited, as long as they're on the same plane of existence. So, theoretically, as you guys are just chilling, right? Pretend your party is right here, and they're all kind of chilling on big chairs. I don't know why they're big chairs, but these chairs are absolutely gigantic. It belongs to giants, all right? Just for fun, just have one of these players make that saving throw. Right, we'll just do ST for saving throw. And they are going to freak out why they're making the saving throw. They're going to ask, what am I making a saving throw for? And you don't tell them. You just say, I need you to make the saving throw. Make a wisdom check. And that's the beauty in scrying. You don't actually care about them being spied on. You care about the paranoia. And that is absolutely what you should do. Make them paranoid. There we go. This is your end result with scrying. This is what you're really going for. The air didn't... oh, sorry. It's literally the first magic item you encounter in the original Baldur's Gate. How many of you have actually played the original Baldur's Gate? How many of you have played Baldur's Gate 3? Honestly, this is something we could move into kind of right now as we talk more and more about D&D. Because we were planning on streaming Baldur's Gate like tomorrow, but we could stream it tonight. Let me know if you guys are interested to see that. What makes it better is the campaign was at a point where the party occasionally knew the big bad, occasionally scried on them. We had a DM do that once, and the player proceeded to every single time try to visually traumatize whenever the scrying was going off. If you have like True Sight or something, you can actually see an eye in the room with you when you're scrying. So that part's very fun. What makes it better is, I had a DM use a cursed item to teach me a lesson, and it took my control of my character away from me. The DM accidentally caused my character he controlled to kill his super important DM PC. Wait, so the DM used your character that was mind control to kill the DM PC. This will be a little bit of a long talk, so we're going to talk about it, but what is everyone's opinion on DM PCs? First, I'll ask that, and then we'll get into it. Another item was a cursed gold coin that turned 1d6 plus 4 gold coins into the equivalent of copper pieces. 5% chance of it turning into Electrum. Oh. The entire party really, really hated that one. That's fair. But Trade-in is a warlock, more of flavor, as he was hit with a curse mystery of madness shenanigans. A wizard because he is the scribe of his town and secretly trying to revive his friends. Okay, for that part of the warlock, he's a wizard because he's the scribe of the town, and he's an artificer because the theme is steampunk, and clerics because of the god he serves. Yeah, that's fair. But I also feel like that you don't have to be a cleric or a paladin to want to have your character worship a deity. Like, you can perfectly do it as a fighter or a wizard. It's like, well, paladins and clerics are the classic classes to worship deities. It shouldn't be exclusive. I don't like the idea of closing that off. That makes sense. I played 2 and 3. Oh, for Baldur's Gate. Nice. Baldur's Gate 3 was a sex game with D&D shoehorned into it. So, I mean, that is something I've noticed was a lot of people definitely really like to talk about the relationships that you can do. I do think, though, that as far as it introducing how combat kind of works to people, it's done a pretty good job. The only thing is they've made some drastic changes that I've immediately noticed. I've had some new players play my campaigns, the one that actually just started last week, and they are very, very much in mind that the way Baldur's Gate did it is the way D&D does it, and it's absolutely not the case. I played Paladin, max out my reputation, and then kill Drits. Daggers of Sinking Teeth. Must be dual wielded to use this curse. For every successful hit, adds 1 to the stack of the damage dealt with the daggers. Got you. If he misses upon attack with the daggers, he must take the stack damage as recoil. Oh, so does he get hit with that same damage? That's actually kind of an insane gamble. Played 1 or 2, but not really hyped for 3. Yeah, I've actually never played classic Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. I know the people that... So, in a sense, people that played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, it was kind of like a cult. Everybody absolutely loved it who played it. They were very passionate about it. And then 3 kind of became very mainstreamed, but the parts that everybody was kind of talking about and getting obsessed over was... what's it called? What was I trying to say? Damn it, I lost my train of thought because Steam tried to say something. They're kind of upset with what everyone was kind of like raving on about. First one was such a big part of my childhood. That's how I am with RuneScape. RuneScape is my classic bread and butter. That's what I did as a kid a lot. Icewind was more of my jam. Let's see, it depends on the party. If the party is short-handled, the DMPC can be used to fill a slot. So say you only have 4 players and no one wants to be healer, you can toss in a cleric. Actually, his lore is really long, but the cleric is actually for a reason. Okay, got you. As long as there's a reason, I mean, you'll always justify it, right? Nothing. So, you're fine. If they can avoid playing, God, my only DMPC was a computer virus of a cat gif, then they can be good. Otherwise, yeah, they're game-breaking. I saw deeper into my character than I would have ever liked to experience. It made me uncomfortable to witness this in the company of my friends. Yeah, so I use DNPCs all the time just for me to kill them because my campaign is a horror one. So that's the main issue about DMPCs is, for me at least, in my golden rule in D&D. And this is my rule, right? You are free to run the game however you would like. But I am the DM over here, right? Kind of up on this little cloud overlooking the world that my players are jumping around in and having fun. Burning shops and fighting dragons. What I never want them to do is ever to think that I'm in this world with them. In a sense, I don't want them to think my will is in the game. I like them to believe that this world is alive, that their choices can affect it, and I am playing the characters in the world. If I ever put myself in there, the DMPC, then I am putting my hand in the story, I'm putting my hand in the world, and I'm putting my will into it. These drawings are fire, thank you. They are as much as I can doodle. So my thing is, I don't think that this is necessarily always a bad thing 10 out of 10 times. I've seen situations where some people can pull it off, but this is a recipe for disaster. Because the second things go wrong, the players are going to be able to say, hey, this is your fault as the DM because this guy is here with us. But if I never have this person to begin with, their hatred can only be directed towards the character and the world itself. I, as the DM, am just the storyteller and the historian, right? I do the past of the world, I write the lore, I create the cities, and then I also do the present, where I create the quest, what everyone's trying to do, what they say, and the players decide the future with their choices. That's kind of my little advice on DMPCs. They can essentially be a huge downfall of your campaign because the party now can target you as a reason of why things are going wrong and not their own choices or the situation of the world. Wifty, welcome. Happy to see you here. I thought about using a DMPC as a setup for reoccurring villains. You could have reoccurring villains in many ways. So like the thing is, most things that people say I want to use a DMPC for this reason, you could actually find a way to do it differently, right? So for example, I can give you one example is if you want, where are the spells? If you want a reoccurring villain that kind of shows up, but you're afraid of them kind of getting killed or combated, there's a spell called the Simulacrum that you can use. And Simulacrum essentially lets you create a clone of that person. This could be what the DMPC, or sorry, the BBG makes, and that Simulacrum is what visits them. If they kill it, it turns into ice, but it's not actually them, but it has all their memories and stuff, so it is kind of them, and that part is actually very cool. That's kind of one solution. Nothing said something about what he did for a DMPC. Let me go back to it. And I use a DMPC all to just for me to kill them because my campaign is a horror one. I'm confused. Do you mean killing the players or I'm a little confused. But I mean, if you're trying to kill your players, you know, power to kill is a way to do it in game. But you know, if you're throwing that at low level, that's a little messed up. Weird watching this in the morning instead of the evening. This is my usual kind of stream hours, so I'm a little unless you've flown out somewhere. Most of my DMPCs are actually hidden, but they are different. Most of the DMPCs though help the players when they are stuck. So yeah, I mean that like naturally it'll be a little biased, but you as a DM will favor certain NPCs in your world, right? Like, hey, I really like the story of this one. I love how this one plays out. This one's, you know, the GOAT. That's not a bad thing. A DMPC is when you only have one of those and everything's focused on that person. That's essentially really what it is. Almost like a regular NPC, except with fudge rolls. So that's another thing that I actually do plan to make a video on to talk about. It is one of the most debated things in D&D is the idea of fudge rolls. So I'll get into it in a second. Have you ever tried a funnel style game where you give the party multiple random characters and actively seek to kill the players? I've never heard of it. It sounds like a cool one shot. That's low level DCC in a nutshell. Got you. This is also why they die very fast. Also, hi Wifty. Wifty, welcome. My prior campaign had a rival group they'd come across at first. It's deadly combat, but after my party spared them, they became friendly rivals. It's a nice little story twist. How often do you manually level up characters as a major fight? I'm confused by that question. Are you saying that So how often do you use manually leveled up characters? Do you mean like you yourself creating a character sheet as an enemy that they're fighting? Let me know if that's what you meant. I have multiple. They start as NPCs, but I feel like the players like them enough I might change them into DMPCs. So keep in mind, DMPC is not in the case of like, hey, I feel very connected to a character. A DMPC is, hey, I as a DM am essentially making a character as well that's going to tag along with this group whether you like it or not. That's essentially what people always relate to as DMPCs. I appreciate these stream hours. My Monday stream wraps up at 9 p.m. PST. Yeah, I usually stream very late at night. I think as the summer continues and my time frees up more, I'll kind of stream during the day and through the night. But we'll see kind of what happens there. My players want me to fetch rolls because... so fetch rolls can work, but very liminal. My players want me to fetch rolls because my luck is cracked. I had many games where I would just crit every other attack. I also keep my rolls in the open, though. Zero have nearly caused a few TPKs due to the number of crits I got. DMPC is more like they are a PC in the party. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing, is like they are essentially another center character that kind of takes the spotlight. The reason why DMPC is usually told in a negative light is because it's only realized when it becomes a negative light. Essentially, if the players really like an NPC, right? Let's pretend that this NPC, so let's do another drawing so we don't get confused. So you have your party right over here, and there's two NPCs we're going to say in this story. The first one is Greg. They really like Greg. And the second one is Bob. The thing is that Bob is the DM PC, right? It is essentially the DM saying, hey, you know, this is actually what I would have made as a character, so I'm going to put him here in this world and introduce him to the party. If the party really likes Greg, and they say, hey, we're recruiting Greg, and he's bringing him in, Greg is now one of the gang, right? He's in. This is Greg. He's now blue. He's joined them. They like him. Now, if the DM secretly made Greg his DMPC, and this is actually what he would do, then there's no problem yet. The only problem comes when the party decides they don't like this character, right? We don't like Bob. Bob is a little weird. Bob is not a good class. He's way too powerful or something, or way too unstable. And the DM says, hey, too bad, Bob is staying because he has to. And now there is something that is not quite uniform here. That is, then people notice, hey, you know, red eyes because they're getting angry. This guy is not one of us. Who the hell is he? Why is he here? Clearly, I just realized this is the DMPC. So that's how it's always said in a negative light, is because it's only noticed when it is in a negative situation. If Greg was your great PC and he got in, everyone's happy. No one's really going to notice. All right, let's move on. Let's see. As a character sheet, yes, because picking a pre-built monster manual lacks many interesting options. It kind of does and it doesn't. The unique thing about monster manual in general is you want to play on the fact that there's legendary actions. You also have layer actions. I realize both of these are LA. So here, let's go to the old type meter. So one of the things is you have, oh, that is way too small. 1 second. You have layer actions, right? You also have legendary actions, and you also have innate spellcasting if that's something you want to give. These are the things that let you uniquely set up your monster outside of how you would design a character. So layer actions lets you set up something if they are fighting that enemy in their homestead, in their base, in their tower, in their lair. They have an advantage. Things that happen on initiative count 20. On let's just do on initiative 20. For anyone confused, whenever a thing says that it does something on initiative 20, all it means is that in the initiative order where everyone has rolled and they're somewhere, when you get to 20, the layer action occurs. That's all that means. Legendary actions lets you do something every time a player takes a turn, and you list your legendary actions. That way you can have multiple turns almost. In innate spellcasting lets you just kind of cast spells that you just really want to throw in there. This combination is what allows you to create some beefed up characters for them to fight. So I usually stick to this instead of making a character sheet, because a character sheet is inherently limited on what you can do with it. But you do the same thing as far as stats go, right? Never beef up every single stat. Always have one weakness for your players. If their strength and their con are extremely high up, right? Give them low intelligence or give them low wisdom. That way the players have something they can exploit. That's what they got to do. In that case, though, instead of tagging along as my campaign schedule is odd, Train is actually a DMPC who will become more my PC later when he moves into another campaign. I mean, it's fine to like trial test characters. And then when a campaign comes, be like, oh, hey, my players really like this one NPC I made, right? Greg was really loved. And I'm now a player in another campaign. I'm just pretty much going to make Greg again because, you know, I know Greg worked. And I really like Greg. So, yeah. I only roll in front of my players when it's an important roll, so there's no fudging when it matters. But I feel like sometimes you need to fudge rolls to keep things from being one-sided. So we're going to get into that in a second. So normally I'll make one DMPC that is kind of silly to go with the party. And they're fine with it. And they normally made a level or two from the party to fill a support role. So, like, in the instance of, like, most often people say, hey, I put a DMPC in because they don't have a healer and I want them to heal. Again, you know, you can just increase the amount of health potions they get, give them some healing spells that they would learn. There's some things you can do around. It's not, like I said, it's not to say that it doesn't work each time, but when it doesn't work, it does fall apart your game. So you are kind of on thin ice by doing it. Time to kill that NPC AD. Red eyes because they're getting here. Yeah, they're very pissed. I've added a DMPC to the party before, but only after the party adopted her into the group. Players were so mad she got killed by some red wizards and made it their personal mission to hunt that red wizard down. Yeah, again, it's the Greg situation, right? They really liked the NPC. They brought it back. It felt natural, so it wasn't a problem. They didn't even realize it unless you told them. Oh no, he's actually moving to another campaign, him and all his memories. Oh. I had an idea for a bard character who, when the party started to get annoyed with him by the way he is, I would have him reveal himself as a trickster of sort who is motivated by causing chaos. And creating stories for him to record from his magical pocket dimension library, like Wan Shi Tong. Keep a guideline with the chaos, right? Controlled chaos is the best form of chaos, where it's not full chaos that everybody gets upset. You have some guidelines and some limits still, but you are chaos in escalating things and making them funny. It's the best way to do it. Last one was Gizmo, who was a silly goblin who would just run around. He wasn't for healing, just kind of would help a player if they need some help, say letting a cannon. Yeah, that's fair. My party uses a DMPC since we only have 3 people and they like to play DPS and take rolls but hate support. So I think that's always the big thing, right? Is like in D&D, people have kind of established themselves in this almost like MMO experience where it's like you need a tank, you need a healer, and you need like a DPS. It's usually the wrong way to kind of build your D&D setup. It's why I like usually when we first started playing D&D, we would ask each other, like we'd go to the players and it's like, hey, what are you playing? Oh, I'm going to play like a tanky character. I'm going to play, you know, a healer. Okay, I guess I should do like damage. Subclasses are not exactly designed with the idea of this one's a tank, this one's a healer, this one's a DPS. And so it's just like you're gonna essentially have to force yourself to do a playstyle that you might not actually enjoy. The best way is, so what I've started doing is I don't have players talk to each other when they make when they choose their class. Unless they specifically say, hey, me and him or me and her are going to do a backstory together, then they're free to talk to each other. But every single time, I've always had at least one player ask me, what is everyone else playing, so I could fill in. And I don't like that. I understand that you're comfortable with filling in, but I want you to play something you're passionate about so you're excited for the game. So I tell them, I'm not going to tell you, play something you want. And if there is an empty place in this team to make it work, that is my job as a DM to find a way to make it work. I increase health potions, I armor you guys up somehow. There are some things you could do. One of those things is to put in an NPC in the party. But if you're gonna make it a DMPC, hope it's Greg and not Bob. I want to say my coolest NPC was created by the party. I was running Tomb of Annihilation, sorry. And the ranger managed to roll a natural 20 on survival check to make a hidden camp. Said a T-Rex passed by the camp, thinking it would be a fun way to show how hidden the camp was. Said the ranger used Charm Animal, and he drew it awaken the T-Rex with a Staff of the Woodlands. Nice. They always get you with the things that you forgot that you gave them as a DM. Okay, so the thing about fudging rolls. I'll talk about this in more detail, probably with a video, because it definitely is a very, very heated or a much debated topic, not necessarily a heated one, but fudging rolls. There we go. I was like, wait, am I spelling this wrong? Oh yeah. So in case anybody is confused about what fudging rolls is, this is essentially the idea that if you're a DM and you went ahead and rolled the dice, and let's say the dice gave you the number 12, you instead say, hey, this is I'm going to say it's a different value. I'm going to say it's 20. I'm going to say it's 26. I'm going to say it's 4. Regardless, the idea is you're taking away what the dice said and you're putting in your own input or effect on it. Let me change the music and we will get into talking about it. Okay, so the thing about fudging rolls, for my little TED talk here, is that D&D is very much supposed to be about limitless possibilities. And when I talked about me as a DM not wanting to put my will into the game, one of those things could be fudging rolls. However, it is important to establish that sometimes DMs make decisions that are not fudging rolls. For example, if you increase an enemy's health, right? Let me grab the text. Increased health. This is pretty much saying, hey, my party is wailing on this guy and he's down to 50 health. I'm going to bring it to 120. This is not fudging. This is calibrating. You cannot be expected to calculate the average damage of every single player and put a perfect number to represent what's going on. You see how much damage they're doing. You say, hey, you know what? I kind of want another turn or two, especially if a player has been setting something up for the last 3 turns. I'm going to give him more health. That's perfectly fine. Another thing is removing crit effect, but keeping the hit. This is something that I think is perfectly fine. If a natural 20 is scored and you decide, hey, I don't want to crit this player because they're level 2, and I just spent the last 2 weeks building their character with them, that's going to suck. I'm just going to make it a normal hit, but it's still going to hit. The dice is telling me they're hitting. What I'm changing is how effective that hit is. That is what I'm doing. So that is still good to go in my book. The thing about fudging rolls is for me to ask for me to roll, or to ask a player to roll, if I am not going to adhere to what the dice says, I would rather not have them roll in the first place. So for example, if I know I'm going to quote unquote fudge a dice, I am just going to say this thing happens. I'm not going to roll in the first place because I don't want to give the players, the point of me rolling here is essentially just an act. It's like a deception. Like, oh, hey guys, I am rolling for it. And you know, that's the result of what it is. But really, I just decided this. I would rather say, hey, this is what I'm deciding as a DM. As someone who's running the world, this is how the world reacts. And that way the players know that when I do roll, it is a genuine roll. This is something that if there is a crit, there's no question if I got 3 crits in a row, I adhere to these laws in a sense. This is not, by the way, to say that anyone who fudges rolls is immediately a bad DM, and there's never a situation where fudging rolls could actually be beneficial. Everyone runs things differently, right? My way of DMing is not universal to everybody, but this is my philosophy of why I personally don't do it. So I'm not here to diss anyone. I'm just here to say sort of the other side of it. So that being said, I understand for some people, they say the worst thing in D&D is planning 1,000 things, and then it comes time for you to make the roll, and the roll ends up bad, and now everything falls apart because you rolled even though you had a good plan. My response to that is, why is it a one roll basis for the entire thing working together? There are definitely opportunities where you as a DM, if something doesn't work out, you extend the situation. You make it last longer. You know, if they trip, perhaps they can try to grab onto a branch, or they can grab onto like a sort of a rock edge. There's a lot of things you can try to do to give them more rolls, more ample time to have things. But the core identity of D&D is the dice. So when a dice is called to be rolled, you need to respect the dice. If you're not going to respect the dice, just don't ask for the roll and just decide it. That is my sort of TED talk on it. All right, let's see. So I never like fudging rolls except under these conditions. A player is failing to find a key part of the story due to not knowing, or I made it too hard. A player is having a bad streak, or a player is about to die in not a fun way, in a way that is lame. It's unfortunate, but sometimes in D&D you do die in lame ways. And like, if I could, as a DM, take complete control of the narrative story, I'm very confident, obviously, I could write a very, very cinematic death for you, a very wholesome death, a very tragic death. But D&D is about that sort of controlled chaos, right? You are rolling dice to determine what happens, and sometimes that can spiral into complete lunacy. But it's part of the fun. That's why D&D is a very unique experience. As far as them having a bad luck of streak, give them advantage, give them a bonus, right? There's some things you could do. For me personally, I have that marble system that I use, so perhaps I would give them a marble. If you're confused, I have a video on my YouTube channel that's like my 5 of the homebrew rules I use. I plan on showing more of them later, but look at the 5th one and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, let's see. So I tell my party to come up with the idea of a character they want without asking about anything other than a story. One of my players is about to play a bard. Before he decided on any of that, we talked about him playing a snake oil salesman who's dealing with the consequences of the past. That's also a good way. It's like, tell me what you are, and then we'll find a class that matches that. I had that happen. I was playing a level 2 cleric in a higher level party because my character died, got crit by an ogre, and instantly died. Yeah, it sucks because it's like, it's one thing to have your character die, right? It's another thing to have them die immediately after you spent the last 2 weeks sort of creating it. Now, if you kept getting hit on and you kept taking damage, unfortunately, that's the case, right? It's never good when a player dies. Or rather, it's not never good. It just never feels good. but it needs to be there for the stakes to be real, for their reward and their victory to actually be true. That's also another thing, is that taken to the extreme with fudging rolls, what it establishes is this parameter of you only succeed when the DM wants you to succeed, and things don't feel like you could theoretically win. So, for example, if I have a character, a player character in my game that is level 3, and he's trying to fight a level 17 enemy that I propped up in front of them, right? Let's say they went into a kingdom and he's like the royal knight. He doesn't like the way he role plays, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to kill this guy. He's giving me attitude. I want my player to know that if he fights him, he could theoretically, right? Even though it's probably not going to happen, but theoretically, if he only rolls natural 20s, he will actually successfully kill this guy at level 17 if he manages to get all this. Now, let's be honest, once this guy swings back, he'll probably destroy him, but the idea is that it's possible. The player knows it's possible. Sometimes these things aren't too far off. Sometimes he's level 13, he's level 17. It's actually more in his favor now. It could happen. So that being said, if I fudge rolls, what I'm really saying is you're only allowed to beat this level 17 when I want you to, because you now know I can change rolls. I can just say, hey, this guy crit. Hey, this happened. And the player will never trust which roll is real, right? It's kind of like 2 truths and a lie. I could say this guy critted 3 times, and 2 could be genuine, 1 could be false. But since the player doesn't know, he's probably just going to think all of them are false. And I never want that as a DM. I don't want them to think that I'm not adhering to the game. But continue on. The fun comes from failure. Yes, an amazing sense of roleplay is if you can roleplay failure, not just victory. In fact, that is the better way, the better form of roleplaying. If you plan beyond a vague framework, you're trying to exert too much control. That is true too. You could plan for absolutely everything, but you also have to be willing to let it go. If you can't let it go, then yeah, you are once again exerting too much control. My opinion, of course, it's improv with friends and dice. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Have a plan and go off perfectly is boring. XP much more interesting to have it fail and see what happens. That's classic D&D right there. Do you ever mentally track passive perception versus stealth? To an extent, yes. If there's an active stealth check being made, I take passive perception into account. And that's kind of the main thing. The way I work it is, it's definitely something that's talked about a lot. So for, wait 1 second while I set this up again. So for passive perception, the only time, so one of the main things people say is that, like, if I as a player go ahead and roll and I got a 12, but my passive perception actually equals like 18, right? And let's say the DC check on it is 15. Does my passive perception just immediately take over this roll that I rolled? Like, could I roll lower than my passive perception? This is something that you essentially mentally track. My way of doing it is there an active roll being made against your perception, right? Is there a stealth roll being made? If not, then yeah, I'm open to your passive perception picking up on it. But if there is something rolling against your perception, then you take the rolled value, because there is another roll to consider, and you don't want to just undermine that. Player died to a goblin after killing a boss. What an unfortunate end. Won't lie, my players live and die on the dice. I don't fudge. I don't concern myself with streaks of bad luck. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it sucks, but it also feels that much more sort of fateful when you get insane luck. It's that much more genuine. Honestly, why I love older D&D, people are always people rather than demigod like heroes. A lucky pitchfork attack running you through could still be lethal. It's a good point. Good night, Sir Coffee. I'm gonna go turn my brain off now. No worries. Another Nate, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope to see you again next time. I fix players not trusting my rolls by rolling in the open. They get to see nearly all my rolls, and if I do have to make a hidden roll, I will always share what I roll if the players express disbelief. Yeah, I mean, so like my thing is, like, by establishing your credibility there, you never have to really publicly roll. Sometimes you do it for like tense situations, right, to kind of build up the tensity and the drama of what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to. For me, it's like it's an arbitrary thing. It's kind of more of a convenient thing, right? I have my DM board, so you don't look at my notes and you don't look at my laptop, and I have my dice that I'm just rolling there. Do I have a problem with rolling in person? I don't, but I don't want to get up from my chair and roll in the middle of the table every time I have to make a roll. Sometimes you also have to roll things that the players are not aware of, right? A stealth check or an attack to hit. Sometimes you're just rolling to see what happens. And if they see that roll happening, they do metagame. But I'm going to give a really cool tip, by the way, real quick. It's completely sidetracked, but I think it's just something that more people should be aware about. If you have... I'm drawing a lot of stick figures here, guys, but it's just kind of like, you know, to illustrate. If you have a player character that is conversating with an NPC, and they say, I want to make an insight check. For anyone who doesn't know, an insight check is just kind of you reading the person, right? Reading their expression. Are they hiding more? Do you trust them? Do you think they're lying? The thing is that what I've noticed is it's like, okay, make the insight check. And then the DM will, if they're lying, make the, what is the skill called? Why can I not think of it? The deception check. Sorry. So he'll roll a deception against his insight, right? Well, the thing is I've seen it every time that a player will essentially metagame that a deception check was made, right? It's, hey, you only roll when a deception check is made. So I know this person's lying to me. I'm going to essentially metagame that and not fully trust them. Now, this is bad. What I've done was, regardless of what it is, I'm rolling either a persuasion or a deception. And what that essentially sets up is that the player does not know what is being rolled. Persuasion or deception. These are the two things that could be rolled. It's one or the other. If the persuasion beats it, his score, or its deception beats it, it's the same result. Hey, you do believe this person. They're being genuine. But that way the player never is able to metagame, hey, this was a deception check. I know this person's lying. It could be a persuasion too. So, cool little tip, cool little trick to not let your players metagame those kind of things and to keep them thinking and guessing when that happens. They always get to see the attack roll, but I generally hide stealth rolls. Yeah, exactly. I think I'm also done for the stream. Lovely evening. I will be back. Please, by all means, feel free to self-promote over on the Country Fried Minis Discord if you'd like. I appreciate it. I don't know if you're already gone, but next time you're here, you can drop a link, and, you know, anyone else here can also join that. And we can build our communities together. It'll be a lot of fun. That being said, I did actually plan to end the stream at around 1 a.m. It was actually kind of nice to sit back and talk with everyone for a bit, instead of just kind of map building aimlessly for a while. So I don't really have time to get back into it. So if that's the case, we are going to go ahead and end the stream, but be live tomorrow. I am working on a new video again. I have not posted a video in about like 2 months, with everything being a little busy. So there will be a new video on the YouTube channel this week. I hope to see you guys there and watching it. That being said, I will see you guys next stream, whether that's tomorrow or another day. Have yourselves a great cup of coffee and take care. See you guys on the next one. Oh, I do have a link. Awesome. Perfect. Go ahead and post it. I also use the word duder. I've never seen anyone use that. But have a great night, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Do me a favor. Have a fantastic night or day, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for watching. All right. Peace.